And I think that, he's talked about a lot of different things this morning. I just kind of want to reiterate a little bit of what he said in our presentation and stuff. So we have a great a panel discussion going on here this morning. And I just want to give a sense of how what RVA 757 Connects is trying to do, which we're trying to improve the success and quality of life of everyone here in the Richmond region and the Hampton Roads region. And we're doing that through supporting a lot of different things. We're supporting and advancing and advocating for initiatives and projects to help out our communities for generations to come. So these are our priorities. These are the RVA 757 Connects board priorities. And as you can see, there's 7 of them. Accelerate the digital infrastructure, become a global internet. John's talked about that. We'll talk about that a little bit more this morning. Advanced multi-use trails. We have Reed going to be talking about that, but Trail 757 and the Fall Line Trail. Increased passenger rail service. That's a key thing too. We'll talk a little bit about that. Closing the I-64 gap. It's working. Let me tell you, I drove down this morning. They're working on that construction project. We'll hear a little more about that. Encouraging collaboration. But let me just, John mentioned the Global Internet Hub. We have a session later this morning about the digital port. And I just want to let you know that, we are really working and advocating and advancing the Global Internet Hub as much as we can. We meet on a monthly basis. We have a Global Internet Hub Council. There's probably 12 to 14 people on there. Several of you are here today. Thank you for your service to that council, because we're really pushing forward the initiatives that we had come up with in the strategic plan that we developed over a year and a half time. So we also, one of the things in terms of innovation we do is we're really kind of spotlighting, and we're trying to really promote our monthly innovation spotlight series. And these are held the first Wednesdays of every month. You probably get those annoying emails from me, a couple times a month and stuff. I apologize, but these webinars are gaining traction. They are helping to highlight some of the really kind of cool stuff that's going on here in the Richmond and Hampton Roads mega region. We have one tomorrow, in fact. And tune in tomorrow for one to learn how Hampton Roads is emerging as a hub for hydrogen innovation. The Virginia Tech Corporate Research Center in Newport News is spearheading this Hydrogen Tech Center initiative. It's a collaborative between hydrogen and research and demonstration project that aims to kind of better define and showcase how clean hydrogen and other emerging technologies could play a bigger role not only in the region's energy mix, but also in the state's energy mix. And a lot of this project was funded by Go Virginia, so thank you, Go Virginia. And also, thank you to Nancy Gurdon, too, because she was the one who helped facilitate this particular webinar, so that was great. Thank you, Nancy. I know you're here someplace. One of our speakers for this tomorrow is Chelsea Jenkins Oliveri. She's the brand new managing director of the Virginia Tech Corporate Research Center in Newport News. And she was supposed to be here this morning. She texted me about 45 minutes ago. She got delayed. I don't know if it's tunnel traffic, lots going on. But she will be here this afternoon, but she'll be on the webinar tomorrow. You could still register. Please do so. Go to our website, register, and it's going to be a very informative session. But you know what? If you can't make it, some of you can't. Noon times are not always good, lunchtime appointments and stuff. Or you go and you want to review it later. We have this capability of recording these sessions, and we put them all on our website. So we have every single one of our webinars are located on our website, and they will give you, an immense amount of information from these various webinars. Okay, now let's get some updates from our key initiatives, really kind of shaping the mega region. We're going to hear about the I-64 gap and HRBT construction projects. We'll get an update on that. We'll get updates on passenger rail developments, and then Trail 757. In your program, VDOT Commissioner Britch was supposed to be the speaker this morning. Unfortunately, his office yesterday afternoon contacted me and said because of the weather issues from Hurricane Helene that was taking place down in Southwest Virginia, he had to travel yesterday and today to the region to assess what was going on, so he couldn't do it. But we have Christopher Hall, who is the Hampton Roads District Engineer for the Virginia Department of Transportation, and he is going to be the person who will take over from the Commissioner's slides. And then after him will be DJ Stadtler from the Virginia Passenger Rail Authority. After DJ will be Zach Trogdon from the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation. He's the new acting director of that agency. He replaced Jennifer DeBrule, who retired this past summer. And then finally at the end will be Reed Nestor. He's the chairman of the Tidewater Trails Alliance Board. So to that, I will turn it over to Chris. Thank you so much.
All right, well, good morning, everybody. Excited to be here as the backup quarterback for the commissioner. As was mentioned, he's down in Southwest Virginia looking over the recovery operations that are ongoing down there. I'll just say that congratulations to this organization that's done a lot of hard work over the past several years, again, to bring together the two regions. And I can tell you, having been in this job now for I'm going on my 7th year, just some tremendous amount of activity that's been accomplished, that's underway, and that is coming soon in the transportation arena. You talk about being on the world stage. You know, we have a project here that we'll talk a little bit about that is the largest project in the Commonwealth's history, but in many ways it is on the world stage in terms of the complexity, size, and just the technology that's being used to bore underneath our Hampton Roads, James River estuary there to expand the HRBT. So, you know, we are on the world stage in many different venues here in the Hampton Roads region. But I'd like to start just by the bottom line up front is we've completed about $1.1 billion worth of construction since 2016. That includes the three segments right here between the Jefferson interchange up through the northern interchange of 199 here in Williamsburg. We have about $5.1 billion worth of construction underway right now, including the HRBT expansion and our Express Lanes network projects. And then we have about another $1 billion worth of work right on the horizon that's in procurement now or scheduled to be under procurement here within the next 18 months. So when you talk about a sustained investment in transportation, Hampton Roads region and the greater Richmond region are leading the way, I would say, nationally, given the size of our region. So to start out with the GAP projects, I know a lot of folks are interested in that. Again, just to familiarize you with what we're talking about here, the 29-mile gap that will fill in the portion of 64. It'll tie us all the way from, again, the last 199 interchange here on 64 up through the 295 interchange there. 3 projects, about 29 miles worth of road construction. When we're done, we will have a 6-lane profile, 3 lanes in each direction, to include improved shoulder widths all the way from the Hampton Roads region up and to connecting into the greater Richmond region there at the 295 interchange. Again, this will be very similar profile as we have constructed thus far. An overall cost of about $750 million. That's a combination of state funding and some funding from the Greater Richmond Transportation Authority. Again, this is those 3 different segments. 2 of these segments are currently under construction, the northern segment and the southern segment. You can see here that if you're traveling down the corridor, at Bottoms Bridge there, working your way south, you can see the contractor starting with tree clearing and some of the preliminary construction activities. That segment to be completed by mid-summer of 2027. Moving further south, segment B, this segment is scheduled to be or is in procurement right now, scheduled to be awarded in the spring of next year and be complete by the summer of 2029. And then the last segment, which is the next segment north here to Williamsburg, is also under construction to be completed in the fall of 2027. So by the summer of 2029, we'll have full connectivity between Hampton Roads and Richmond with that 6-lane profile, 3 lanes in each direction, north and south. Real quickly, HRBT, more than just a tunnel. I know the twin bored tubes are really the highlight of this project, and as I mentioned, the technology and the scale of this project is putting us on the world stage, but a lot more than a tunnel project. This project also includes the complete replacement of all of those marine trestles shore to shore from the city of Hampton to the city of Norfolk there at Willoughby Spit. And as we'll see a couple of pictures of those trestles under construction, to include rehabilitation of the Willoughby trestles and widening of those facilities, as well as about 6 miles of roadway widening and work that will ultimately give us a 8-lane profile, 4 lanes in each direction between Hampton and Norfolk when we are complete. Again, when we're done, and I'll talk a little bit about the express lanes, 2 of these lanes in each direction will be part of that Hampton Roads Express Lane facility. Just a little bit of facts on the project. At a cost of $3.9 billion, the largest project in the Commonwealth's history. A key part of this, and again, this gets to a collaboration piece in Hampton Roads, 92% of this project is funded locally. So organization HRTAC, I know many of you have heard of, provides 92% of the funding. That's a 0.7% tax on those localities in the Hampton Roads region are paying for this project. Again, that is something that if you look across the country, the ability of our region to come together here in Hampton Roads and to fund a project of this size and scale is pretty phenomenal. Not to mention major contributions to many of the other major and significant transportation projects in our region, which I'll talk a little bit more about. Next, we have the Hampton Roads Express Lane Network. So HRBT is the keystone of this, obviously the major crossing there at the mouth of the James River. But we also have a number of other projects, as you're well aware of, that will, when complete, sometime around the summer of '29, we will have a 45-mile continuous express lane network that will carry traffic between the Denby Boulevard interchange, which will be going in here shortly, all the way around the fishhook, I call it, in our network, all the way around to Bowers Hill. Again, this will be a high occupancy toll 2 network, which means that if you have more than 2 or more people in your vehicle and a flex pass, you will travel for free. Using the dynamic tolling system, this network will provide a reliable trip throughout our region here in the near future. And always remember there's a free option with the general purpose lanes that will be just adjacent to the network. Again, all of these projects are currently either complete, which many of you are probably familiar with the high-rise bridge project. That project was opened up earlier this spring. Again, that sort of fills in the network all the way around from Bowers Hill all the way to 564 interchange there. The remainder of the network will be complete right around between the end of calendar year 27 and calendar year 28. A couple highlights on the HRBT project. This past spring, we opened up the first new trestle, which carries eastbound traffic from Hampton onto the North Island there. You see in the photo, this trestle is the first new trestle in the last 50 years. We estimated that that old trestle carried almost 1 billion cars in its lifetime. So with this new facility having a 100-year life cycle, you can do the math, a significant impact to our region for the next century. Next we have, this is a picture actually of the South Island as you're looking back north. You see in the lower left of that picture the connective pieces of the new South Trestle. That's that new, that'll be an 8-lane mega trestle that'll carry all traffic east and westbound off of the South Island. We anticipate having a portion of that trestle open in late spring, early summer of next year, which will allow us to close down the existing southbound trestle and begin demolition on that. So some exciting things happening here within the next 12 months as we continue to progress this project forward. A little bit of a sort of engineer geek out here. We have this is again the largest concrete pour in Virginia's VDOT's history, over almost 5,500 cubic yards of concrete poured. About a full concrete truck every 3 minutes. So that was done over a 31-hour period. You can imagine the logistics, the reliability of those concrete pressers to be able for us to successfully pull this off. Just an amazing feat that is going on right here in our region. Again, the largest ever done in Virginia's history. Again, what you're looking at here is the base slab in the receiving pit. So right now, Mary is in that pit getting ready to launch back towards Norfolk for our second bore. And last but not least, this is actually a shot, on that right-hand photo is a shot inside the tunnel boring machine, placing of those segments. The lower left there is looking down the existing newest tunnel, bored tunnel. We completed that earlier this spring in April. Our first bored tunnel complete. And again, as I talked about the last couple of months, we've been turning Mary around and getting her prepared to launch back towards Norfolk here. Within the next couple of weeks, we should be underway mining back towards Norfolk to complete both of those tunnels in about another 10 to 11 months time. So by this time next year, we should have the second bored tunnel complete. So again, a lot of work going on. I know folks, as you travel across that crossing there in Hampton Roads, you only see a piece of what's going on. Most of the activity is going on underground, and it's pretty amazing work, again, what is going on here in our region. And I'll just follow to say our biggest challenge is, again, maintaining the momentum with our contractors here in the region, and how do we attract talent from a consultant perspective and from a contractor perspective here in the region to be able to deliver these projects in a timely and efficient manner. And the sustained investment of our region and our region's cooperation is really going a long way to do that. So again, thank you for the time to speak here, and again, congratulations to this group. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is DJ Stadtler, and I'm the Executive Director of the Virginia Passenger Rail Authority, and I am thrilled to be here today to update you on what we're doing in passenger rail. First and foremost, I need to thank this group. It's great to see a group that is so forward-looking. For example, John talked earlier about the Long Bridge. So the Long Bridge is about 150 miles from here. It's a $2.3 billion program that I'll talk about in a couple minutes. But when we found ourselves short of funding for that bridge, which again, 150 miles away, this group jumped right up and said, hey, let us write a letter of support. We want to help you because you understand that that bridge is the linchpin to opening up more transportation options down here. So it's not just let's just look what's in our backyard. It's what can we do to make the entire network better? And thank you all for having that foresight. So again, I'm DJ Stadtler. I'm the Executive Director of the Virginia Passenger Rail Authority. A lot of folks don't know what VPRA is. VPRA is a political subdivision of the state We were born basically because of all the lousy traffic. But for 64, 95, 81, I wouldn't have a job. So we're here because the traffic in DC/Virginia/Southwest Virginia/Hampton Roads has become unbearable, and we need to give people another transportation option. For those that curse the tunnel traffic and those that talk about construction on the 64 gap is great, but it's tough with all those Jersey walls, there's a train station you can walk to right from here, so just a little ad. We are here to promote, sustain, and expand passenger rail in the Commonwealth, and we do that in a couple different ways. Number one, we don't operate the trains. We've got contracts with Amtrak. They run the passenger trains, but we oversee those contracts. They are responsible to us for making sure that the trains run on time, that they're safe, that they're clean, and we oversee that maintenance. But more importantly, what we do is we work with the freight railroads, and I'll talk about this in a second, to add infrastructure like the Long Bridge to increase capacity, allowing freight trains and passenger trains to work well together. So when we were first created, we purchased a bunch of right-of-way across the Commonwealth. You see it here. We bought from CSX, we bought from Norfolk Southern. The idea there was to make sure there were separate and dedicated passenger tracks. Freight trains go about 35 miles an hour. If you're in a passenger train and you're only going 35, you're not happy and you're probably not going to take that train again. So what we want to do is we want to have separate tracks that passenger trains can go on at a speed that is trip time competitive with cars. You can see we purchased the infrastructure from DC down to Richmond and then out with Norfolk Southern to Southwest Virginia to, well, we've got it to Manassas, and we've got the rights to go all the way down to Christiansburg. And we're working on adding capacity at key places where there are choke points now. This is just a little bit of the background. We were created because of that all-day rush hour that you see. One of the things that we found during COVID is it's no longer, hey, traffic's really heavy in the morning going into big cities and really heavy in the afternoons. Now it's truly all day long. In fact, what we found in tolling, the VDOT folks will tell you that the traffic on 64, traffic on 66, 95, it's all day, every day. People on Fridays don't go to work. They still work. They tell me at home. But they leave their homes and then they go out in the afternoon. So you get a ton of traffic in the afternoon. We are here to provide train service to account for that. Right now we've got 5 trains that come to the Hampton Roads region. We need to have more than that because you don't always have the time options. What we have found is that when you add another frequency, you give people another time option and more than double the passenger count. So that is what we are doing here. As I said earlier, the biggest bottleneck is the Long Bridge. So the Long Bridge is a 120-year-old bridge that goes across the Potomac. And every rail trip that goes from the northeast to the south, whether it's to Virginia, North Carolina, further south, has to go over that Long Bridge. The only other detour is a huge circuitous route through Haymarket out in West Virginia. This is the choke point that stops us from adding more capacity. During peak hours, it's 98% full. When we went to CSX and said we want to add more trains, they said you can't until you do Long Bridge. So this is a $2.3 billion project. When we looked at it, just to get, I'm not going to get engineering geeky because that's way over my head, but the bridge goes from the Aquatic Center in Arlington across the Potomac River and then into DC and connects to LaFont Plaza. We decided that that was really 2 very different projects. Going over the river is one type of bridge, but then once you get into DC, you're really building bridge over road. You go over Ohio Drive, you go over 395, Main Avenue. So we split it up into 2 different projects. I'm thrilled to say that the North package has already been awarded. Work is underway on some of the early works. As you might imagine, a 100-year-old bridge, a lot of utilities have been added underneath that bridge and alongside that bridge. So I will tell you this, in 1950, when you were putting cable in, you didn't really document exactly where it was, so it's been a little bit of a surprise. It's also a challenge because, as you may know, the Long Bridge is very close to this big building with 5 sides that I'm not allowed to mention. We don't know where their wires are, but when we're digging and a black SUV shows up, we know we're close. So that makes it challenging, but work has begun, and we expect to begin construction in full on the North package next spring. South package, we are in the procurement process. We will have a recommended vendor later this month, and we hope to bring to our board by December the recommended vendor for the south package. That whole bridge project will be done in 2030. New River Valley, just a shout out, we have a deal with Norfolk Southern where we're going to buy the Manassas line, which goes from Alexandria, Virginia, out to Manassas. This will allow us to extend passenger service from Roanoke out to the New River Valley, Virginia Tech, Radford, those areas. It's a special line to us because the first state-supported route went to Lynchburg, and back in 2009, we thought there'd be about 30,000 riders. We put it in place, and the first year there were more than 100,000 riders. So that was really the first train that showed us, if you build it, they will come, and we've since extended it to Roanoke, and no later than 2027, we'll extend that to the New River Valley. Finally, John talked a little bit this morning about the Richmond to Raleigh corridor. Right now, you take a pretty circuitous route on the A line. Part of our purchase was the abandoned S line, which is a much more direct route from Petersburg, Collier, down to the North Carolina border. It is undeveloped, so we're just starting design there now. It's going to be expensive. It's billions and millions of dollars. But when it's done, it will take a good hour and 15 minutes off of that trip time and allow us to have more trains going back and forth through Southern Virginia. That will not be done by 2030, but the design is underway. And then finally, we recently opened the Newport News Transportation Center. It's a beautiful center. It replaces the one that had been there since 1981. It started service in August, and we had a ribbon cutting last week or the week before last. It's a good example of multimodal transportation. One of the things with passenger rail is I can guarantee you, I guess I can't guarantee you, for 99.9% of the people, that train will not bring you to your house. You need to have a last mile of transportation. So when we look at transportation options at train stops, we need to make sure there's bus service. We need to make sure there's ride share. We need to make sure there's bike share. We need to make sure it's close to trails. Having that multimodal is huge, and the Newport News Transportation Center does just that. So that's a huge boost to the region. Just some numbers, I won't bore you with these, but you see Norfolk, Newport News, huge increases year over year on ridership. So it continues to show if we build and if we provide the trains, people come ride them. So again, in closing, thank you all for your support. You folks, the RVA 757 has been fantastic with everything we do. What we tell our board and what we tell the public, no surprises. We're doing a lot of construction over the next 6-7 years, and it's going to be a bumpy road, but the results are going to be fantastic. So again, I appreciate your support.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Zach Trogdon. I'm as Greg said, I'm the acting director of the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation. I guess first, our friends from North Carolina. I used to live right down the mountain from Asheville and worked there. So certainly our thoughts are with you. I think the devastation is kind of just increasing. So certainly our thoughts are with you. And with this group, it's funny. I actually, my background is I had the pleasure of serving as the executive director of WADA for a few years. Also worked in Charles City County, which, if you all know your geography, is sort of right in the middle. You know, if you go about 10 or 15 miles to the west here, you'll cross into another county. That's Charles City County on Route 5. And I had the pleasure of working there for a number of years too, but I'm not here for any of those reasons. I'm here because I am the acting director of DRPT, and as that, I serve as the chair, ex officio chair of the Virginia Passenger Rail Authority. So when I was talking to Greg and John, they were like, "We'd like you to be involved, but you know, I couldn't just come and talk about what DJ talked about. He has all that knowledge, you know, all the exciting things going on with VPRA." So I said, "Well, we're trying to create we're working on creating I mean, DJ will give you an exact timeline for an east-west rail route if you talk to him afterwards. I'm sure he'll give you a money-back guarantee about when that'll come about. But for now, you have to go up to D.C. and come back down to get to Charlottesville, for instance, from down here on the train. So we have been looking at a inner-city bus route that might fill in that east-west along 64, kind of along the 64 corridor. Okay, how do I get it to, oh, there it is, okay, good, a little delay. So first of all, my comms people put this together, and they insist that any presentation start off with something, you know, just telling you about our agency, because very few people know of us either. So DRPT has been around. We do focus just on public transportation. The Commonwealth is unique in having having an agency devoted just to that. And so, again, I think it was very wise and forward-thinking back in the day for those that established it, were able to focus on things like passenger rail, freight rail, public transportation, our buses, and things of that nature. So we work with local agencies. That's the great part about this job. When I went with DRPT, I still was able to work with local agencies and keep that link, which I enjoy doing. So we do provide grants and technical assistance to local transit agencies. So, but the Virginia Breeze is something that was a little bit different. Actually, it's something that has to do with what they call intercity bus service. This is something that the federal government has an intercity bus service program they provide funding to, that is intended to connect rural areas to more populated areas. And so this is my only slide. This is my only slide, by the way. So you got to read it all right here. But intercity bus service, it's intended to serve underserved rural communities. And it provides a meaningful connection to intercity bus network. So all of you see a map there, I don't know how well you can see it, but we go from places like Bristol, Martinsville, Danville, and Blacksburg, and we connect all those routes to go to Union Station. And all of you, of course, know if once you get to Union Station, you can go probably anywhere else in the world without having to get in a car or anything on public transportation. So those, again, we started it in 2017. It was something that we were getting that funding from the federal government. So we said, okay, well, so a lot of you, Greyhound and Megabus and these places have seen a lot of disruption from just over the past couple of decades from various things. And so even COVID caused that a little further. So we were able to step into that breach with this program and provide some meaningful connections. So what you might get, you see, I mean, obviously we focus on, we're out in the western part of the state because that is our rural, that is the rural area. John showed you the Golden Crescent before. That's a different thing. So we serve these rural areas and get them up to DC. And so we do have a contractor like DJ was saying, we don't operate the service directly ourselves. We have a contractor that provides that service for us. And what you'll get is a bus leaves from one terminus, starts going towards DC, and at some point during the day, a bus will leave from the DC terminus, start traveling towards that other area, and the other end. And so that's where you get the two various ways going, and they have to go long distance. So that's why you see that they're not just going, taking you from one side of the city to the other. They're going to be connecting you to a whole different network. So, as I mentioned, so if we get this east-west route, we're not precisely sure about all the stops and stuff right now. But it's looking to go kind of that 64 corridor, which would potentially be Virginia Beach to Charlottesville. May go up a little bit up I-81 to somewhere like Harrisonburg. So some of those details are still being worked out. And so, it's something that we talk about passenger road. This is something that can kind of be brought to bear quicker. You don't have to have all the infrastructure costs. You get a bus and a driver, you're off and running. So something like this may be, somewhere in $500,000-$600,000 range to operate it on an annual basis, to operate something like this. One thing is, so this may not, the inside baseball may not necessarily qualify. I mean, all these areas along the 64 corridor, Virginia Beach, between here is not rural. So maybe we don't use that intercity bus funding. However, this is just something we've seen a lot of success with our intercity bus. And so if we can, use that same concept to provide an east-west connection, that just gets us that more connected between Richmond and, you see there's a stop. Can I go back to that slide? Do I need to go back? You see there is a stop with the other bus that goes to Union Station in Richmond. So potentially timing can be, I'm not saying this, guaranteeing this. Again, we're working it all out. Perhaps you get to that bus in Richmond, you're able to go to Union Station from Virginia Beach. There's a train right now, but again, you have to go and make stops. So all those are just another option. As John was saying, and DJ was saying, having transportation options is the way to go. There's no silver bullet for these things. And so this was just another concept I wanted to mention while John and Greg were talking to me about what's going on between the mega region. I thought, well, this is something that we're working on that potentially, just if you all have this information, perhaps it's something that can be, be in that mix as well. So with that, I'll pass it on to Reed, and I appreciate y'all's attention. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Reed Nestor. I'm chair of the Tidewater Trails Alliance. I'm a retired planning director for the city of Williamsburg. I've been involved in bicycle and pedestrian planning since 1993. Most importantly, my wife and I are avid tandem cyclists, having ridden over 60,000 miles since 2002. And they say wherever your relationship is going, you get there faster on a tandem. So I think we've arrived. The Williamsburg, where we are now, is near one end of the 52-mile-long Virginia Capitol Trail that connects Richmond to Jamestown. It was completed in 2015 after over 15 years of planning and construction. The Capitol Trail has been an outstanding success. Annual usage exceeds 1 million people. It provides opportunities for outdoor recreation and active transportation, generate sports tourism dollars for the region. This was followed by the Birthplace of America Trail study, which was done by the Hampton Roads TPO in 2017, building on the success of the newly completed Virginia Capitol Trail. The Tidewater Trails Alliance was established the following year to advocate for the completion of the Birthplace of America Trail. And to jumpstart our advocacy of the trail, we entered into cooperative partnership with RVA 757 Connects and the HRTPO in February of this year to evaluate our progress and recommend improvements to our strategy for promoting the trail. And here we are hard at work, working on a new trail name, logo, and website. A primary finding that we made was that the Birthplace of America Trail, or BOAT as it was called, was confusing, as you can see from this slide. So our first step was to create a new trail name to better identify the trail. We had extensive work session led by RVA 757 Connects. Greg and John were a big help in leading us in this process. We settled on Trail 757, and the green part of the logo, if you let your imagination run free, sort of looks like the state of Virginia, and the star is Hampton Roads. So 757, one of our area codes, it's one of the popular naming conventions of our region, particularly with younger generations, and it clarifies that this will be a multi-use trail connecting the Hampton Roads region. This is also reflected in our new website, which was also developed in partnership with RVA 757 Connects. So, what exactly is Trail 757? It will extend from the Jamestown end of the Capitol Trail to Fort Monroe on the peninsula, and crossing the James River on the ferry will go through Surrey and Smithfield and end at Suffolk, where it will connect with other planned trails to the Virginia Beach oceanfront. So this will truly be a mega trail for our mega region. It will be primarily a 10-foot wide paved off-road trail like the Virginia Capitol Trail. And I'd emphasize this is not just a trail for cyclists. It's a trail for everyone. The trails I've been on, you see plenty of pedestrians, runners, parents pushing strollers, cyclists. It's a very diverse population using the trail. This shows the peninsula section of the Trail 757. And the most progress we've done to date has been on this section of the trail. The main line extends about 60 miles from Jamestown to Fort Monroe, with a secondary 24-mile loop through Newport News that will provide connection to downtown Newport News and the shipyard. Estimated cost is $145 to $180 million. A veritable bargain compared to the cost of the major projects that have been previously discussed. The south side section from Jamestown, Scotland Ferry to Suffolk is approximately 50 miles, and much work remains to be done on that section. Of the 60-mile main line, 20 miles shown in green on this map are either existing in the planning or design phase or have committed funding. So we are making progress. But the most critical section, I think, as we proceed forward with work on Trail 757 is the section from Jamestown High School end of the Capitol Trail to Newport News Park. This is a 23-mile section estimated to cost $50 to $60 million. And to put it in perspective with other local projects, the Historic Triangle jurisdictions are spending $80 million on the regional indoor sports complex, which Barbara Ramsey mentioned in her opening remarks. Trail 757 will provide connections to a multitude of public facilities along the trail, as you can see from this map. Universities, historic attractions, parks, it really will connect our region with alternate transportation facilities. It also goes by a variety of commercial areas and will also provide connections from neighborhoods to major employers such as the Newport News shipyard. Trail 757 will connect our communities, parks, and tourist attractions, bringing health, safety, and sustainability and economic benefits to the 757. It will serve as an important element in improving our quality of life and the attractiveness of our region. I'd like to conclude just with a personal reflection on our recent vacation. We built this vacation around visiting multi-use trails. Fortunately, it was before the big storm. We went to the Virginia Creeper Trail, Abington to Damascus. We rode the Swamp Rabbit Trail in Greenville, South Carolina, and we rode the American Tobacco Trail in Durham. So these trails attracted us to different regions. We spent a lot of money on our vacation. But we can, without going to 3 different states, we can have the same thing in the Hampton Roads and Richmond mega region with the Virginia Capitol Trail, the Fall Line Trail, Trail 757, the Eastern Shore Rail Trail, Shenandoah Valley Rail Trail. Virginia can become a mecca for cyclists, pedestrians, runners using our world-class trail facilities. And I guess just like Bentonville, we can become a cool region. Thank you.
Thank you, Reed. That was great, and thanks to DJ and Zach and as well, and for giving an update. We're running a little bit late, but I do want to leave a couple minutes. Does anybody have any questions for the panel? Yes, go ahead. We got a microphone, so give us 1 second here.
Can motorized bicycles or whatnots be used on any of these trails?
Yes, I know on the Virginia Capitol Trail now, e-bikes are allowed. There's a 20-mile-an-hour maximum speed limit. That's okay. Yes, e-bikes are allowed on the trails. As someone increasing in age, I have to admit that we have a tandem e-bike. E-bikes are a good thing. They open up use of trails to a lot more people. But yes, they are allowed.
Question for you, Mr. Nestor. You mentioned that the trail is definitely going to support health, safety, sustainability, and definitely economic benefits. Will there be permeable paving as in sustainable pathway? Do you know?
That's certainly a possibility. It will be, the intent of the trail is to have it a hard surface trail like the Virginia Capitol Trail, but there are hard surface pavement types that are permeable, so that's something that certainly could be looked at when we're in the design stage for the trail.
Last question?
Your talk was so exciting. I feel like jumping on a bike and getting on those trails. How well is this publicized to the public? Because I know we have a very sporting and active group, but it seems like this is the best kept secret.
Well, that's one of the reasons that we started working with John and Greg to increase our visibility in the community and make the trail more recognizable. I think a big step in doing that is the Trail 757 name, which doesn't make you want to go and get your boat and figure out where to launch it. And to publicize it, I can give you a sticker. You can put it on your back window.
Also in your packets, too, on your table, is a little rack card about the trail as well, with a map on one side and information about the trail on the other side. And I'd be remiss not to mention also Pavethra is here from the Hampton Roads Transportation District. Beth, you want to raise your hand? So if you have any other questions, she can also, she and Bob Crum have been very instrumental in promoting Trail 757. Great. One more question. Okay, wait till we get the microphone, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Question related to trails. It's got a lot of interest, and kind of from a project integration standpoint, Chris, like is it too late to add trails to the 64 widening? Kind of same question for DJ as well. You think about trying to integrate the different things we're trying to do. Good question. I think the second thing, Chris, is also you mentioned about your concern about construction contractors. The region's booming, Virginia's booming. Can you expand upon that concern just for the wider economic development audience?
So, too late for trails on the 64 widening. I'll answer that question first. Not to say that we're very integral in the trail development, both on the Virginia, on the 757 trail, but also the Eastern Shore Trail, which was really moving along fast. A lot of investment on the Eastern Shore. So, very excited to see that project moving forward quickly. On the construction contractor side, just to put it in perspective, with the amount of work that we have going on, again, billions of dollars being invested in our region, we are, say, struggling, but it is a challenge for us to be able to execute this work in a timely manner. Obviously, a lot of pressure on our craft, our subcontractors, and even our prime contractors that are coming into the region. And one of the big things that I talk about is it's not just about what's going on right now, especially for these larger civil contractors. It's about what is coming 10, 15, 20 years down the road. Because what we're really trying to do is get them to invest back in the region with their plant, with their facilities as a footprint to a lot of these larger firms. And with the ability to translate the kind of sustained investment that we're looking at through HR-TAC, GRTA, the other funding sources that we have, it is definitely a compelling message back to our larger construction contractors to say, we're open for business, we are investing. It is a sustained investment, and that is a very powerful message for a lot of these businesses that are really looking very hard at moving back into the region in a big way, enabling us to deliver these projects. So that is something that we continue to try and promote, along with a lot of the other activities that are going on in our region too, with the Navy, Corps of Engineers, with a lot of our flood protection projects. So there's just a lot of activities other than transportation that are going on in our region that are attracting these businesses back. So good news story.
And let me just add, from the rail point of view, the answer is very clear sometimes. There are places where we have purchased right-of-way and there's just no room for a trail. That said, the new Long Bridge we're building over the river has a pedestrian bike bridge that goes alongside it, a separate structure that will connect the trail in DC to the one that goes all the way through Crystal City and down to Mount Vernon, I guess. Virginia has a very robust Rails to Trails program, and we partner with DRPT to put trails where they make sense for the railroad that's there, maintaining safety, and also for the public.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.